Yes. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, but yeah, I post my videos between long periods because I've been busy with my studies. Just finishing off my cybersecurity postgraduate degree, and also, you know, just been spending time with family, just chilling, and preparing to travel abroad. So anyway, yeah, today I just want to touch on the subject of Ukraine, Russia, and Africa. Okay, so I see that on there's been lots of questions on why Africa does not appear to be standing with Ukraine, or why African countries have abstained from supporting either countries. Okay, so people, from Western countries don't seem to understand exactly why Africa is doing that. So they feel like maybe Africa is just basically failing in its support for for Ukraine, because Ukraine is seen as the victim and Russia is the aggressor, obviously, because it's the one that's invaded Ukraine because it wants to annex Ukraine. Okay, there's lots of reasons behind that. Okay, some people think it's the US is to blame for that because of bases that are really close to Russia that are causing Russia to feel threatened by the US. So the story behind it is that Ukraine was going to join, was preparing to join uh, NATO. So what would have spelled out for Russia was that the US would have built another base in Ukraine that would have been at the doorstep of Russia, and Russia did not want to entertain that, and so they decided that probably the best way forward was to invade Ukraine and prevent such an event from taking place. Okay, so that's like a brief explanation of my take on the situation. Yeah, some of you out there might have a different take on it. There might be other reasons I'm not aware of, but that's the closest I can think of. Okay, there have been many comments about Africans' reactions to Russian invasion of Ukraine. The horrific violence has been unleashed on Ukrainians, and humanitarian catastrophe it has created. Okay, so many people, including the African continent, they have reacted ghastly to the images that have been shown on the news channels, of dead bodies lying on the streets, etc. No one wants that for anyone, and no one wishes that on anyone, even your worst enemy. Okay, so I believe that people like to complicate things, and start talking about many reasons why they believe Africans are not supporting Ukraine. Well, to be honest, Africans did support Ukraine in the beginning, including myself. We were praying for Ukraine, praying that it would come out the other side unscathed. That they would be able to defend their country successfully against Russia. Okay, we we prayed for de-escalation because we didn't want the US to get involved, because what would have happened if the US got involved or NATO got involved. Then that would have catapulted the situation to World War III, because Russia is a superpower with nuclear capability. So if the US was to invade, was to support Ukraine militarily, then that would spell a nuclear war and the end to life as we know it on the planet. So yeah, it's very difficult for countries like the US or for NATO, for that matter, to interfere with matters of between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so I'm sure that when evacuation started to happen in Ukraine, we all there was a major racial issues that was sparked, during the evacuation process. It appeared that the Ukrainian authorities were preventing Africans from actually evacuating the country. They didn't want them in the same buses or trains as Ukrainian citizens. So that came as a shock to Africans that, you know, the people they've been praying for and supporting for since the war started are treating their own people that way. So, you know, it's, for me, that was a big shock. You know, I was really shocked. I mean, I knew, everybody knew or knows that Eastern Europe, when it comes to racism, is kind of like the center of it, you know, because you've got the skinheads there, you've got the Nazi sympathizers in Russia and Ukraine as well. So, in some other European countries. So, you would say it was expected, but we didn't expect it in that situation because people are involved in a crisis, and the least thing you would think that would come on their minds is racism during that time. So it's the fact that someone is suddenly become a refugee, is fleeing for their life, they still have time to be racist. It just it speaks volumes, you know, about that kind of people. So we Africans, we have no place in remaining victims and scapegoats for such situations. Okay, we are tired of always having to be the ones that are have to pay the price in the end. The war has nothing to do with Africans, and all of a sudden now, you know, we are being asked why we're not supporting it. But everybody knows why we're not supporting it. The BBC and other news channels, big news channels, failed to report on the racial situations that were happening during the evacuations. All the information came out on YouTube in other media channels. And once they picked up pace, that's when the big channels kind of reported on it. But in reality, they just ignored it and didn't pay any attention to it. So it just goes to show, you know, how much really Africans matter on this planet. So really not that much, to be honest. So individual Africans, they do condemn Russia for its clear and unwarranted aggression towards Ukraine, as well as its imperial and colonial designs on another people's land, with which they should be all, you know, all of us, we are too familiar with that because we have been victims of colonization by the British and the Portuguese and other European countries. So we know what it's like to be to have another country come to your country and colonize you and take over your land and kill your own people, etc. We are aware of that, you know, as Africans, including myself. So, you know, we pointed out the the racist hypocrites of Western media, governments, and societies, which is evident, you know, because of what happened in Ukraine. And also once Africans were allowed to enter Poland, you know, which wasn't easy for them because Poland, the Polish prime minister made it clear, or president, I don't know, whatever it is, made it clear that he doesn't want any Muslim or African refugees, which is why they were building razor wire fences around their borders. You know, but as soon as the Ukrainian crisis happened, they welcomed refugees with open arms, including here in the UK. You know, they made deals with France and other countries to prevent refugees from entering the UK. But as soon as there was refugees from Ukraine, you know, they all of a sudden they were asking people to share their rooms with Ukrainian refugees, something that has never been offered to other refugees. And we saw the hypocritical reporting that happened on the news when reporters from around Europe or America started talking about Ukrainian refugees are not your typical refugees. They're not like your typical Middle Eastern or African refugees. They are blonde, blue-eyed, middle-class Europeans. What does that mean? A refugee is a refugee. Whether you're middle class, whether you're rich, whether you're what, it doesn't matter. If war breaks out in your country and you have to seek refuge in another country, you are a refugee. It doesn't matter what your social status is. Okay, a refugee is a refugee. So you don't discriminate based on color and social standing. You know, if you are a refugee, you are a refugee. It's simple as all that. You know, I sympathize with any type of refugee, and I don't discriminate against anyone based on their status or their color, because that's not how I was raised. That's not my culture. You know, I look at everyone as a human being. All right. So for Africans in the Western world, it feels like we are looked upon as, I don't know, something else rather than humans. You know, so we have the right to abstain from supporting either of those countries, because we cannot support Ukraine, we cannot support Russia, because Russia, you know, we cannot say Russia loves Africans, because they don't. You know, there's been lots of racist incidents in Russia, Moscow, regarding Africans. Lots of Africans have been killed on the streets of Moscow by skinheads. Okay, so there's been lots of victims in Russia of racial attacks by Russian Nazi sympathizers, and also there's been statements made by President Putin against Africans. So we know that these countries don't really like us. They like us when they want something from Africa. If they want some type of resource, all of a sudden they are your friend and everything else. But in reality, they don't really like you. They just like what you have. It's simple as all that. So we as Africans, we need to really stand together. Not just Africans in Africa, but from around the world, from America. You know, African Americans are Africans. Black British people are Africans too. Caribbeans are Africans. Any diasporas from around the world, we need to stand together against this type of tyranny and create a strong connection and morals that will guard us against anyone that tries to utilize our resources or us as Africans, you know, because we are special people. You know, if anyone doesn't see us as special, we should see ourselves as special, because we are special. Okay, so we shouldn't let anyone judge us or tell us what we are. We know who we are. You know, we don't have to beg anyone. We're the richest continent on the planet. Okay, so we should know how to utilize our resources to build our economies in Africa, and not just give away what is so dear and precious to us. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, I support peace and harmony around the world, and I live in the United Kingdom. I don't live in Africa, so I expect anyone to treat me the way I would treat them back in my own continent. If you're European and you come to Africa, and there is lots of Europeans in Africa, they don't get treated the way we get treated here. Okay, if you travel to my country, South Africa, or any other African country as a European, you get received with open arms, with a smile at the border as soon as you arrive. The people are friendly and open-minded. They do not treat you as a foreigner. They do not discriminate against you based on your color. It doesn't happen, okay? So, you know, all we're asking for is for respect and love, just like we give it, okay? So, yeah, it's a tough situation. Well, it's tough for those that try and make it tough, you know. And to speak about Africans as well, many Africans have also failed to see the commonalities between their struggles against imperialism and that of the Ukrainians, preferring to instead, you know, conflate the Ukrainians with their benefactors in Western Europe, you know, including, you know, myself as well. You know, they're entirely ignorant of the history of Russian colonization, you know, in Europe, and what Russia could do to Africa as well in the future. You know, it's not because Russia wants to be there for Africa and make good of issues in Africa. Not really. So no country has ever, from outside Africa, has ever made any good of any African issues. Okay, we need to do that ourselves. not rely on any European country to come and rescue us because they've never done so. All right, we received them long time ago peacefully. We know what happened after that, so don't expect anything different now. All right. Anyway, touch on that subject today. I hope it gets through to any African diasporans that are listening to this. If you're not African, you're still welcome to listen. If you want to leave a comment below, you can leave a comment. But just refrain from being abusive. Don't leave any abusive comments. If you want to have a civil and intelligent argument, then yeah, we can do that. But don't come on here with your insults because they're not welcome. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you like to talk about political issues or any other issues that matter. And yeah, thank you very much and enjoy your evening.